Hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 15 in the series 2021 of the Mind and Muse Crafts podcast. Welcome everybody. I am Caroline, your host, and I'm a little bit over the 2-week mark at this point, but basically I try to come back here every 2 weeks and share with you the crafty side of my life, which normally involves a lot of crochet, some knitting maybe, and every once in a while needle felting or sewing. So how are you? Thank you for joining me this morning. Well, for me, it's the morning. It is the morning of November the 5th. It's a Sunday morning and the light is horrible in my craft room at this time of the day, but I don't think it's going to get any better. And the lamp that provided additional lighting for this recording has gone berserk. It won't turn on in this room. So I'm going to have to wing it with the amount of light that I have and try and make it quick so you don't suffer so much. So, how was your Thanksgiving weekend if you are in the US or territories that celebrate this type of celebration? As you know, I went to visit my daughter Elizabeth for that weekend. Well, for 10 days, actually. We left the 18th and we got back after Thanksgiving. And I have to say that we had a pretty nice time. It was peaceful. There was a lot of sharing. There was a lot of crafting and crocheting for Elizabeth and I. We went out to have a walk every morning, just spend time together, to do a little bit of talking. And was basically, for me, what we call cold. It was in the maybe low 50s in the mornings, and it did come up to the 70s in the afternoons. There wasn't any day that I was there that I could say it was hot, but it was a nice temperature. It was a nice temperature to walk. It was a nice temperature to be in the house, and it was a nice temperature to just generally be able to wear some of the crochet that we have made and spend some time together. So, except for the fact that I for some reason, got ill early Thanksgiving morning. It was just an unusual occurrence that I got up after breakfast and I went to brush my teeth and I had to sneeze, got nauseous, and that was it. And that had never happened to me before, but the effects of that short but uncomfortable illness just took a toll on me. It almost ruined our Thanksgiving day. I tried to put it out of my mind and breathe, but it was very difficult to cook for me because the upset continued. And even when I came back to Puerto Rico, for the first week, it wasn't until yesterday that I actually felt normal again. So yeah, they kind of ruined it there in the end for us. Well, for me, I tried very hard to put it aside, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy when all you want to do is just lay back and there's so much food around you and you're not able to share it and you're not even able to help in the preparation of the meals. So that kind of ended on a bad note, but I'm happy because Elizabeth is also coming to share Christmas with me. So she'll be here around the 18th and maybe I can make up. Maybe I can make up for the way things went a little sour, literally, on the last couple of days. But like I said, we were able to do basically what I would call, I think it's the most amount of crafting that we've ever been able to do when we're together. And so one of the things I was able to do was to get a blog post up on my blog. And for those of you that are new, or if you have forgotten, I do have a blog that I publish to every once in a while. Specifically, I also have it to share, to have somewhere to put my free patterns and so that I can share them with you. And the blog is mindandmusecrafts.com. And I was able to, I put up 2 posts in November. Each post has a, let's say, a musing, some type of reflection on my behalf about some of the things that I do. I believe the first post was a general reflection on how I have managed to give crochet and crocheted handmade items a place all around my home. And in that first blog, I share the pattern. At the end of the reflection, at the end of the post, I should say, I have the first pattern of the Dangle earrings that I shared with you previously. I could only find one, but I guess one is enough for you to remember. Back in, let's say, oh, there's so much terrible lighting in this room. But back in, oh, stay still, October, you might remember that I was working on this, and it was part of my Cruella's outfit because it's black and white. And so I finally got the pattern to that up. It is inside the post that I did at the beginning of November. And then while I was at Clarissa's house, I got a bit of inspiration also and was able to write up another post in which I reflect on how appreciative I am of being able to have a partner in my immediate family, my immediately loved ones, that shares with me the love for crafts. And so since it was written probably the day before or a couple of days before Thanksgiving, I was at Clarissa's house and we were doing all this crafting. It came to mind that should be the post that was also going to contain the pattern for what I called my teardrop earrings. So let's see. If you go to mindandmusecrafts.com, this is generally what it looks like. That's my banner at the top. It's called Blessed and Thankful, the post. And since I flew to visit Clarissa, I decided to put there. My husband is always at a window, well, usually before COVID, always sat at the window and liked to take photos of the outside of the airplane through the window, of the wings, or the sighting of the land as we approach. So he was able to share that with me. And that is the post that starts my post. And in that post, I also share photos of Clarissa's stash. And I just go on to share with you photos of other times when we were together and talk about how thankful I am to have a crafty partner in my immediate family. And then finally, I share with you this pattern for these earrings. And it's at the bottom of the post this time. It's not in a separate PDF. I don't know. I guess it was just easier. It's just a lot easier in terms of the time it takes to put up one of these posts if everything is together. But I could put it separate or maybe make a video tutorial of making it. Would you be interested in that? I've always thought about maybe how would you like for, let's say, these earrings or any of the jewelry that I make can make fantastic last-minute gifts for somebody that you didn't know was coming over, or that you, for some reason, thought you had a gift for but had forgotten to get it, or if you have ordered in the mail lately and let's say it doesn't arrive in time and you just want to make something up to offer that person while the package arrives. So I was lucky to have be with Clarissa at the time, and I guess it was part of the reason why I decided to actually go ahead with it, is that she was able to test that pattern for me. And so I was able to, we kind of like switch roles. Normally, Clarissa will write up a pattern and I will test it for her. Well, this time had written up the pattern and she was testing it for me. And so I was able to catch some mistakes and the stitch counts, or just a better way to say something. And so we both made earrings for Thanksgiving Day. I wore these on Thanksgiving Day. These are I can take them off. She had the findings so that I could hang them because I had forgotten to take mine. But I got these lovely check beads at Joann's that I thought had a brilliant color. They're so much more brilliant in real life. And the lighting here is not very good, so it's not doing a very nice job of kind of like focusing. Plus, I can't stay still for anything. But anyway, believe me when I tell you that the beads are beautiful. And they're like a matte, but at the same time have a little bit of shine to them. But it's just the color. The color is a great color. And I also found the perfect color yarn. Oh, I guess I should say thread, but obviously I did not save the ball band. No idea if it's at Clarissa's house, but I didn't save it. I don't know. So I can't tell you the color. I know it is Aunt Lydia's and it is number 10, but I don't know what the color is called because I didn't save the band. But, I mean, if you get one of these things, you can make, I don't know, 100 earrings out of it because it takes just so little. And so this is the color that I made mine because I was going to wear it with my Eat Cake sweater for Thanksgiving. And I guess because of the fact that I was feeling ill, I totally forgot. I totally had the idea of taking a nice picture of the Eat Cake sweater at Clarissa's house in the little corner that we use for taking photos, and it totally slipped my mind. But this looked perfect with them. It looked perfect with that sweater also. And it also looks pretty fine with this one. This, if you'll remember, is a crochet design by Clarissa also. And it is a design that she adapted specifically for a request that I made to her. I'm pretty sure it is a summer fan top that she altered for me because I asked her to make both the front and the back. In the lacy pattern. And so she did that for me and gifted it to me. And so I think it pairs nicely also with that. And I'm all full of crochet this morning. I'm also sharing with you I even brought Cora over to share with you some crochet. But I specifically brought her over because I was thinking about the many people that are receiving now their advent calendars. And I was actually putting away my Halloween decorations. I hadn't had a chance to do that even. And I remembered this sweater that I created when I purchased my first my first advent calendar from, well, my first and only, I don't believe I've purchased any other advent calendar after that, from Crafty Treats. I purchased one for me, and I believe I purchased one as a gift for Elizabeth. She did come down that Christmas also, so we both worked on a project to use our minis with so that we wouldn't have all those minis sitting around after Christmas, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't purchase advent calendars, because it's always wool and therefore, well, I should say yarny advent calendars. I'm dying to purchase an advent calendar that has another theme to it, maybe stationery, school supplies, chocolate. I'd love a chocolate advent calendar, or I saw a wine advent calendar last year. I didn't see them this year. And, they do other advent calendars, but this one was a yarny one from Crafty Treats. And so Elizabeth, I both had one. She worked hers up into a sock, and I worked mine up into this sweater. Now, it wasn't an original design by me because I used the size, the numbers, from a pattern by, it's the oversized sweater by Sorella, and I sort of used her numbers because she makes it really oversized, and I don't do good in oversized, as like I've said many times. I used to think that, but lately I have a love-hate relationship with it. It takes a long time to crochet up, but I like a lot of things now that are looser on my body. So I have never worn this sweater. It is, I held together two yarns. I held together, the base of the yarn was the Lion Brand's Comfy Cotton in just that ivory color that they have it out. And I held that together with every one of the minis. So it has both of those yarns. So it is cotton, and probably that 50% cotton and 50% the wool that I have into it, because every single row has cotton and wool. And then I just went in order. And that year, the advent calendar was about the seasons. So she kind of like had 3 colors for winter and 3 for spring, and it just goes down like that. And then they went into autumn at the bottom, summer first, and then autumn at some point. But I do know that I used up all my yarn, and I've never worn this sweater. I don't even think I have ever modeled it on the podcast. So now that I am thinking of the possibility of going with my son in January to help him move to his new home in Alabama, and he's going to drive up. He currently lives in New Hampshire, so I'm thinking about wearing it. I'm thinking about having a sweater to take with me that is not too hot and not too cold, and maybe it'll get some use there. Because, I look at it and I look at it, and I looked at it this morning and I said, at the time that I made it, I really didn't like it that much, but it has grown on me. It has grown on me. And so, yeah. But what I did here, this is half double crochets, I believe. And so every once in a while, in a half double crochet, when I finished a color and started a new one, I would do the half double crochet in the back loop. And that way I got these ridges every so often on the sweater. And so I just kind of like added my own thing to modified this other pattern to suit the yarns that I had, the amount of yarn that I had, and basically that was it, because I would have made the oversized if I would have had enough yarn. So just wanted to bring that back for a moment, since we're now in the time of the year when a lot of people are receiving their advent calendars. In case you're looking for something you can do with it, you don't only, there are a lot of projects that you can make with your advent calendars that don't have to be necessarily just socks or blankets is the other thing that you see a lot with them. I also know that Kalisha, I think it's Quirky Monday Crafts, just put out a wrap that is made also with minis. And I do believe that also Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet put out recently a cardigan in granny stitch that she also makes with a collection of minis. So wool is also supposed to have cooling properties. So maybe the idea that if you use a thin enough yarn and a big enough hook, you could create something in crochet that I would be able to wear here on the island. So I don't know. Well, those are some of the things that I was doing while I was on vacation with my daughter. And here's a throwback. Here's a throwback to previous years, probably 4 years by now, 4 or 5 years that I made using minis, yarny minis. I was also at Carissa's. I did not take the socks. I didn't take them. Clarissa's house was very dark, and so I thought maybe I wouldn't have enough lighting to look into that dark yarn, pick up those stitches that had fallen, and put it together. So I just didn't take. I also had only carry-on, and I wasn't sure. I didn't want to lose my needles. I didn't want them to take them away from me. So I just didn't. I also knew that while I was there, I wanted to do a couple of things with Clarissa, but that I might not have time to do my own things. I don't know. The bags were filling up my carry-on. It wasn't even a carry-on. It was my personal backpack. It was filling that up too much, making it too heavy, and I just left everything. Well, I didn't leave everything. I took one big project with me, and I took the idea of that while I was at Clarissa's, I wanted to work on another pattern that she produced so that I could finish whatever editing the pattern needed. And so, if you follow Clarissa on Instagram, you will see that recently she published a photo about a Yavana. Is it called the Yavana vest? The Yavana vest, which is a small crochet vest, tight-fitting, cropped, and created in a rustic-looking yarn, because she uses it to imitate the wardrobe of a hobbit. If you remember the series of books and movies about the Lord of the Rings, well, she's always been a fan of that, so she created this top with that outfit in mind. But she recently published on her Instagram a photo that I just loved, and I had seen before. I just loved it because I love the photo shoot that she did with that, because it looked so modern. So in one photo, she has the version of the Hobbit vest, the vest used as a part of a Hobbit wardrobe, and in the other photo, she has the modern version of a silk, oversized, long sleeve blouse with the vest on top. And if she will allow me, I'll reproduce it here to share it with you. But while I was there, I also I worked on testing that pattern for her. Now, I didn't have enough of one yarn, so I used Clarissa yarn. I used yarn that I found in her stash. And then in order to get her gauge, I had to hold two yarns together. And this was, let me see, Bernat Softee cotton, which was a yarn that I had purchased on a previous visit and had accidentally left at Clarissa's house. So it's this Bernat. It's called Seaside Blue. Seaside Blue. And I paired that with, and so I had saved here the ball band to see if I could find some more. It's called Ritratto Collection of St. Charles. It is 28% mohair, 53% viscose, and 10% polyamide. Oh, and also 9% polyester. So it's a blend of mohair with all these other synthetic materials. But I thought it was what I needed to reach her gauge. It was what I needed to reach her gauge. And so I thought that looked so well, but I ran out. I ran out at the back. And so I wanted to finish it, so Clarissa lent me another mohair that she had there, which made it look totally different. And even that mohair wasn't enough. To do the top of the back, I had to just totally wing it with yet another. If I would have had enough of this to finish the top, I wouldn't have had any problem with the front like this and the back like this. The back totally like this. But obviously I guess it kind of made it look too scrappy for me as a Hobbit design. It would have looked pretty good because, you know, you work with things that are left over. Or if I had worked it totally in this design, I would have loved it. Or totally in this design even, I would have loved it. Or totally in this design even. But the way it is now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think I haven't weaved in any ends because I think that I could try and look on Ravelry or something, or eBay, see if I could find either this mohair or this one and finish the top. Just redo that top section and leave everything else the same. I guess my best bet would be to this one because then it would only have two colors. And so it's a cropped vest. I like it a lot. This one had no stretch in it, so I actually should have made it a size larger. Because I was over there, I was able to try on the one Clarissa had made, and she made it in the second size, and just fit me fine. But her and I have such different gauges that there was no way I wasn't able to get this to fit me. So, yeah. I mean, I wasn't able to get this to fit me the way her size 2 fit me. I did this one in the size 2 with a bigger hook. I used a 5mm hook, I think. I'm pretty sure. And so it didn't work. I had 2 yarns together, so my yarn was thicker. And it's still, the difference is that it's cotton. It is mostly cotton, and so it doesn't stretch the way hers stretched when she blocked it. But I'm going to see. I want to see if I can get some more of that yarn and find it somewhere and just, and just finish off the top. Because I think it's worth, at least I loved the look with the oversized blouse underneath with the collar and long at the bottom. I just think it looked nice. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. If not, my original plan actually was. This was the yarn that I used, if you remember, for the Mother of the Groom dress that I made. And so it is cotton silk. And I thought I would pair it with this lace weight that I've had in my stash for a while. That is from Forbidden Woolery. This is still called, it's not called that anymore. Now it is called Forbidden Fiber Company. But anyway, it's called, the base is called Envy. It is 80% merino and 20% silk. And the colorway is called Hermione. So Hermione, whatever. I thought that would go good. And I think it's going to create an interesting color. But I wanted to take it there because she could have caked this up for me very quickly. Now I'll have to do it by hand. And so I'm thinking about doing that because it was a quick make. Maybe I'll make this for Christmas. And I can wear it for Christmas. So, so soft. Silk is always so soft. Silk is very warm also. Don't get fooled. Silk is very warm to wear here on the island. But still, it's just soft. And I like it. So yeah, I'm thinking about making another version of that in this yarn. So that's the crafty stuff that I was working on with Clarissa Beth and together. You learn, live and learn every day. So the final project that I was going to share with you was the work that I was doing on my Snoopy cardigan, which, if you remember, was a cardigan that I started out trying to make, thinking about, I had purchased the yarn for one thing, thought about making the Monarch sweater by, or Haley Bailey, made by Haley Bailey, and decided, well, why can't, instead of the Monarch, I put Snoopy on the front? So that was an idea, not necessarily a good idea, but it was an idea. And so, let's see if I can show you. You'll remember that I went to Stitch Fiddle and I created my Snoopy figure, brought in a clip art of Snoopy, and then adjusted it. You really have to retouch up these things. You can't just bring in a picture and use it. They have to be retouched. So I retouched it and made it to my liking. And that is the design that I'm trying to put on the front. Now, things happened because I didn't have these colors in the same yarn that I had the sweater. This sweater, if you'll remember, was in the Sepia Stonewashed. But I didn't know, I don't know if I knew, but I purchased it in the Stonewashed fingering weight, and the sweater needed a worsted weight. And I didn't know that this yarn also came in worsted weight, so I didn't purchase the right size for this. I'm using it double. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm using it double, and I don't think that actually makes a worsted weight. So the colors I purchased, I purchased yarn in the Feels Like Butter from Lion Brand, and I bought the white and the black. And the yellow, they didn't have it in stock. Well, I purchased the yellow, but you'll remember that Amazon sent me something different, or Lion Brand. I don't know who did it. Somebody sent me something different, but I purchased Lion Brand yarn through Amazon. So I'm guessing that it was Lion Brand. They sent me something totally different. Couldn't find, well, I actually saw the yellow while I was there and didn't like the tone. I didn't actually like that color. So I bought that Basic Stitch Anti-Pilling, which basically has the same amount of yarn. And so that's for the yellow. But for the white and the black, it is the Feels Like Butter, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to take it out and make a mess of all the yarn because, yep, feels like butter. Black and white. The yellow, I couldn't get it. And so I'll show you what I'm doing up to now, and I'll talk about some of my problems and share them with you. It makes life happier. So here, this is what I have up to now on the front. You remember that I had totally done the back, and this is what I have up to now on the front. It's about, is it about halfway done? Yeah, I'm going to say that's halfway done. If you look at the photo, I am about here on the photo. So true that I think the top uses more yarn than the bottom, but I'm going to say I'm halfway done. Makes you feel better. Then I'll also say that this part I worked up in half double crochets instead of single crochets, which might have been another design mistake, because obviously half double uses more yarn than single crochet does. These are American terms if you're watching from another country. So my single, I used half double. The reason was particularly because I was having tons of trouble hiding my yarn changes, my color changes, because this is work from back and front. And I always find difficulties doing tapestry crochet back and front or intarsia crochet, whichever, because I am letting go of my colors, only carrying them when I need to. So it's kind of like a combination of techniques, but I always have problems hiding my yarns when I work front and back, especially when you go turn it towards the back. It's half double crochets, so the front tilts in one direction, and the back, when you work on the back side, on the wrong side, it tilts in another direction, and that is not as noticeable as single crochet, although it is one of the reasons why working flat in tapestry crochet or just color work in crochet, I can't get it to work for me. I know a lot of people, and I see a lot of people online that do great work with it, but I can't get it to work for me. I guess it might be the way that I hold the crochet hook, or the way that I yarn over or yarn over under, or the combination that I do, that when I'm working on the wrong side, I don't have the same coverage on the front. It's just, so it just doesn't look right. I mean, when I'm looking up here in camera, it doesn't look that bad, but another thing that I can tell is that the half double crochets are taller, right? So it's kind of like if you take an image on the computer and stretch it vertically, but don't stretch it horizontally at the same rate, so it looks out of proportion. So I'll see what the final one looks like. I'm hoping that since this is going to weigh a lot, the weight of the cardigan will kind of pull it back into shape, but I don't know. I'm dying to get it done, and it is not difficult to work up, because there are long rows in which you really don't have to change colors so often. It only has 3 colors. I don't know. This was what I was supposed to work at Clarissa's house, and I would have been able. There was a lot of crochet time, but I spent so much time making it in single crochet and ripping it back, making it in single crochet, trying a different way. First, I tried these yarns with a single strand, and they were maybe not a lot, but they were somewhat thinner than this yarn held double. And so I thought that was one of the problems that I was having in the coverage. And so then I ripped it back, and I'm holding these yarns double now. And now that is thicker than what I actually need. So I don't know what that's going to do to my total design. I'm using only a 7mm hook here, whereas for the back, I used an 8mm hook in single crochet, but that I did purposely, knowing that I was using a thicker yarn and also a bigger stitch. So I went down to a size 7 that I didn't have, so I had to steal Carissa's, and I'll return it to her when she comes down. But so the reason that I have such little progress on it is because I was working it in single crochet and was just not liking the way that... Also, if you remember, originally I had the Snoopy boxed up in a blue rectangle because I thought the blue against the wine color really looked good. And then I decided, no, I'm just going to leave it wine colored because I have enough yarn, because then it will be one less color change, and that will make my life easier. So I had to rip back a couple of times before I decided to do that, rip back a couple of times before I decided to go with the half double. And so it was basically rolling the ball up the mounting, letting it go, and rolling it up the next night and letting it go. And so that kind of thing was happening. And so it probably would have had more progress on it, but I'm happy. I'm happy with... I mean, I'm not 100% happy with it. If I were to do it again, I would do 1,000 things different. But remember that now I have a grandchild, and so I am going to be able to crochet lots of Snoopies for my grandchild, and this is a learning experience. I'll do it better for him. Maybe I'll make him a partner sweater, and I'll do his better. So I'm going to say that I'm halfway through with that. Of course, that means practically not being halfway through the design, because I've got the back done. Well, I think I'm going to have to add rows to the back once this is done, because this is half double crochet, and I think it'll be longer than the back, but that's not difficult to add lines of single crochet there. That might be... Well, the thing about it is that it has long sleeves, and I'm going to be on Sleeve Island, but maybe I'll do them in half double crochet so I can hurry up there. Anyway, that's the biggest project that I had been working on, and I did want to share some of my experiences in case you decide to work up some color work. Don't be demotivated by my experiences. I'll tell you, experiences is good. You learn a lot from it, and if I were to do it again, I know it would be a lot easier. There wouldn't be all that ripping back, and so yeah, I have to say that I am happy with the amount of crafty time that I had. I don't have as much time now because it's the end of the semester, and so while I was at Clarissa's, I didn't do any work at my second job, which is a series of tutorial modules that I am creating for different topics, and I have to have one in each week, and that week I didn't hand in one, so that made this week a lot more difficult for me. But the end of semester combined with that project that I have to work is not leave me a lot of time for crafting. So, but I am happy with what I've done up to now. I am thinking and I'm considering, and I want your opinion on working up my 12 days of Christmas Vlogmas. And do not fret. If you were with me for last year's Vlogmas, I know that I did a very poor job on it. I have been re-looking at those videos during the evenings, and I know that I made some of them too long and some of them too short in comparison, and maybe the lighting and the content wasn't the best. But yeah, I'd like to have another go at it, and especially now if Clarissa's going to be here, there'll be a couple of days where she can join in with me, and I've got a couple of small projects that I know that I can share, or tiny projects I should say, that I can share with you. And well, I'm thinking about it. If you would be interested in watching a 12 Days of Christmas Vlogmas series with me, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have any ideas, you can comment below, or you can write to me at my email and tell me all about your experiences with Vlogmas and what you think I should do to open up my views to a wider audience. And so I'll leave you with that thought. And hopefully you'll get back to me on that. I think that's all that I wanted to share with you today. I might have had more, but being that time has rolled by, I don't want to keep you for too long. And I will say that I hope you are in a happy festive spirit, if that's possible for you, and if you are the type of person that celebrates the end of the year approaching. The end of the year for me, always, forever, will have a double love-hate relationship. You'll remember that if you've been here a while, that 2 years ago I lost my mom on December the 20th. And so that kind of like dampened, although we tried to celebrate Christmas as usual that year, because of the fact that my mother was always loved celebrating Christmas and always loved celebrating anything. I guess I inherited that from her. But anyway, still, I like the idea of the year ending and having that new beginning with the possibility of new hopes and new expectations and just new opportunities. So, yeah, I like to celebrate it. I think even if I didn't celebrate Christmas, I would still celebrate the end of the year and the beginning of a new one. So if you would like to do that with me, let me know. Let me know. And I can try and give it a go. So thank you for joining me today. I am grateful for all of you that come back every 2 weeks, and especially also grateful for anybody new trying this out. Don't be frightened by what you see today. It might not be representative of what I do every couple of weeks. I mean, I kind of like go with the flow here. But yeah, I try to bring you a happy podcast in which I share with you happy thoughts, happy memories, and happy crafts. And so I'm particularly happy with my earrings today. As you can tell, I love the color, and I think that brightness makes life so much easier to manage. So I'll leave you with that thought. Until we meet again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep crafting. Bye for now.